Welcome to Animate Architecture. This is a virtual mini-series that includes an animation, a short discussion, and an activity that you can join with us at home that explores how architecture can play a more animated and lively role in our everyday lives.
This is episode 3, The Radiant Roof. Please, enjoy the show.
Now, Alaskan land in the news. Our 49th state is more than twice as large as Texas, but with fewer people that live in Kansas City. Alaska is America's last frontier. It's so big and so wild that some mountains and rivers haven't been given names. Congress has been talking for nearly 4 years about keeping more of Alaska's wilderness just the way it is. This month, Congress reached a decision. Scattered areas of wilderness, adding up to more land than there is in all of California, will be set aside, restricted in various ways. Slightly more than half of the newly restricted land will have total wilderness protection, and no mining or logging will be allowed.
Here we see a drawing of a large couch with a small party taking place. This abstracted view from above and looking straight down is called a plan drawing because of its all-encompassing top-down vantage point. Plan drawings are a particularly helpful tool that enables architects to plan and organize spaces.
Plans are an essential part of architectural design. We use the phrase floor plan to specifically describe plan drawings that are used to lay out rooms, spaces, activities that make up a building. Looking at the floor plan of a house is like taking the roof off and looking down from the sky. This allows us to understand the relationship, proportions, and movements through the building.
While plan drawings are particularly useful for depicting the permanent features of a building, like walls and doors, they can also communicate social relationships and dynamic activities. For example, here we see a series of plans that shows 3 different stages of a pizza party. Before the party, we see the layout of the neatly set tableware. During the party itself, we see friends gathered and eating together around the table. Finally, we see the party's aftermath and the lucky cat who gets to enjoy the leftovers. The plan's top-down and measured viewpoint helps us understand the same space as it changes in quality and organization over time.
Light is essential to understand the shape of the world around us. Shadows result when light projects a 2D silhouette of a 3D object onto another surface. The presence of shadows helps us to understand the depth and three-dimensionality of the world around us. And while shadows usually clarify the shapes of the objects from which they are cast, they can also play tricks on us. For example, shadow puppets suggest the forms of other animals and beings that are not really there. By contorting our hands in particular ways, we can transform the shadow of a human hand into the profiles of a wolf, a moose, a rabbit, or a bird.
Shadows can give us additional information about an object that may be otherwise hidden or concealed. For example, in this scene from Microloo, a short film that was shot entirely in plan, we see a shadow cast from a spotlight onto a magician. The magician is shown from the top view of plan, and the shadow reveals the character's full silhouette, showing a man bowing and removing his hat. Information that would otherwise be concealed and difficult to see in plan view alone without a shadow.
Similarly, when it comes to complex three-dimensional objects, shadows help to articulate multiple physical properties that may vary depending on the direction from which the light is projected. This model of a Shadowcaster, which we'll make together at the end of this episode, has a 3D form specifically designed to cast different shadows along each side of its body. In this way, the object and its shadow work together to reveal spatial information and to tell a story about its different physical characteristics along its different sides.
At the beginning of this episode's performance of The Radiant Roof, we meet a house and a tree alone in the landscape. Looking closer at the house, we see that there is a dramatic hole in the roof.
By zooming into the building, we see that the hole introduces a unique lighting condition into the house. We can understand the house in a new way by viewing the shadows that are cast through the hole in its roof, while looking down at the house with the animated plan drawing.
In this scene, a cat wanders inside to bask in the dappled light projected through the roof. Seen in plan view, both the cat and its human companion are abstract, but the shadow cast on the tiled floor reveals more details and clarity about their shapes and identities.
We watch as the cat and the human walk in and out of the house. Their shadows trace their paths through their space until the human shadow appears at the top of the ladder, peering down through the hole.
With their saw out, the human removes the tree branch hanging over the tree and begins the work of repairing the roof. Throughout the narrative, action is articulated by both characters in plan, and often more explicitly through their shadows being traced along the floor. Now that we've seen a few examples of the surprising ways that shadows can be projected into architectural space, let's make our own. In the description of this video, you will find a link to download a printout template to help you make your very own Shadowcaster.
In addition to the printout template, we suggest gathering the following tools: scissors or X-Acto knife, glue or tape, a flashlight or your phone flashlight, a ruler or a straight edge. Alright, now it's time to make our own Shadowcaster. First thing you're going to need to do is print out the template, which is available online. It's 2 pages. The first page has instructions, an example of the final Shadowcaster, and then the second page has the template, which we're going to cut out now. So the first thing to do is to get either your scissors or an X-Acto knife in this case, and we're going to cut along the thick, dark line. And then after we do that, we're going to make sure that we score along the dotted line. So let's do that now. The other thing you can do is, if you'd like to, you can add any sort of color or decoration before you start. In this case, I'm going to add some green stripes. And maybe some blue polka dots to the right side. All right, and now we're going to cut out each of the 4 pieces, the front, the top, and the 2 sides, again, cutting along the black, dark line. It'll often be helpful to use a ruler to do this. All right, once you've got all your pieces cut out, the next step is to fold along the dotted lines, which will give you the glue tabs, which are the part here with the stripes. For this piece, you're going to want to fold it towards you. Same thing with the bottom here. All right, the next step is to glue the pieces together. I would recommend starting with the side with our bent out nose here. And to do that, I'm going to take the top and glue it to there. I think glue sticks are the easiest for this work. Next, I'm going to make sure to get glue on the 3 triangle pieces. Now that that part's glued on, we're going to glue all the way around the back. Next, we're going to glue on the other side. Same thing. Glue on all the tabs and kind of follow it around. And then last, the front piece. And there you've made your very own Shadowcaster. The best way to experience your Shadowcaster is to turn off the lights and get a flashlight.
Thank you for joining us on this exploration of shadow and the unexpected ways that it can animate the architecture that we encounter every day. This is our final episode of the Animate Architecture mini-series. Look for us again in 2 years at the 2023 Chicago Architecture Biennial.